Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be reading some more on the Island Tales. We have 7 pages left in this chapter. There is 199 pages altogether and we're on page 41. So hopefully we'll get this story read and over with pretty fast. But anyway, I'm going to read as much as I can today to get half of it done. But enough chit chat and let's get started. They spoke a little bit with small talk about their lives and family. Nothing too personal, which suited Charlotte just fine. She liked Dawson. In any other circumstance, she might have been interested. The way her heart pumped when he came in the room told her she was interested in him, but she kept reminding it that it had been broken and didn't get to make decisions anymore. On Tuesday morning, she entered the kitchen wearing a long black dress with gold flowers on it to find Dawson eating a bowl of cereal at the counter. He whistled and she did a little twirl. "Second interview this morning," he said, looking mighty fine in his dark jeans and black polo that had a tiny helicopter stitch over his heart. He wore the same thing to work every time he went, and Charlotte liked the consistency of it. "Yes," she said, placing one hand over her stomach as she complimented eating. "I'm so nervous." "You've got this." He got up and put his bowl in the sink, rinsing it before turning back to her. "I found an apartment. I'll be out of your hair by this time next week." "Oh!" Surprise and sadness whirled through her at the same time. "That's great, Dawson." He nodded, his arms folded across his chest as if he was keeping something back from her. "It's a nice place. You should come see it." "Yeah, sure." She picked up a bunch of bananas and plumped one off the bunch. He stepped closer to her, causing her to look up into his handsome face. She lost herself for a moment in his dreamy eyes before blinking and leaning against the counter to put a bit of space between them. "I'm wondering if you go to dinner with me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. His eyes shone with hope. And the spark that had been between them all this time roared into a full-fledged flame. Charlotte's mind reeled. "I'm not really in the dating frame of mind," she blurted out. "Yeah, I worked that out," he said. One hand dropped, his fingers barely brushing hers, but sending a shower of fireworks through her system. "We'll go slow. Dinner or lunch. We can even do it here at the house after I move out." They hadn't really shared any meal times together, not with his insane schedule. She never saw him eating anything but breakfast, and he claimed to eat in town or at work before he came back. "After you move out," she echoed. "Yeah," he said, tipping even closer as if he kissed her. Fear flowed through her now with the strength of river rapids. He could not kiss her. She was not ready for that. She froze, and he seemed to pick up on the hint. "I got a place as quickly as I could," he said, "but I don't think we should start something while we're roommates." Start something? Charlotte couldn't even think beyond those words. "I'm going to be late." He moved out of the kitchen, leaving the scent of his cologne behind him. "I'll see you later." The front door had opened and closed before Charlotte turned and said, "Yeah, see you later." She took a banana and went out on the deck, her mind spinning with the last 5 minutes of her life. She ate the fruit but didn't remember peeling it. Her mind felt numb, much the same way it had after Hunter had said he met someone else and wanted a divorce. Was she really considering a dinner date with Dawson Dane? "Got a place as quickly as I could." Warmth filled her, and she lifted her head high. So Hunter had stolen something from her. That was true, but she obviously still had something that was attractive to a man, and she turned to head outside, ready to crush the second interview. Half an hour later, she sat with her ankles crossed, her portfolio doormat on her lap. She brought it last time too, pictures and sketches of her projects over the years, but Hope hadn't even asked to see it. Charlotte was determined to show it to her today, make her understand that Charlotte could take their already thriving business to the next level for the type of bride who deserved a custom package. Charlotte, the perky woman who answered the phone, stood from behind the counter where she worked. Hope is ready for you now. She wore a fit and full dress that screamed the color pink bubblegum with a busy pattern Charlotte hadn't been able to identify in yellows, blues, whites, and purple. Thank you. Charlotte stood, finally making out ice cream cones as she approached Riley, the girl at the desk. She followed her down a hallway that had probably never seen dust and into the same office she'd entered last week. Hope lifted one hand to indicate she was on the phone, and then she said, "Well, make it happen, Libby. We need some flowers, by Friday morning." She set her cell phone down on her desk and motioned Charlotte in with a "Thank you, Riley." She stood and shook Charlotte's hand. "Good morning, Charlotte." "Morning, Hope." Charlotte tucked on a smile, hoping it looked genuine and professional at the same time. "I brought my portfolio for you to see." She extended the leather folder and Hope took it. The dark-haired woman didn't open it. She studied Charlotte for a moment and wiped the wisp her hair that had fallen from her messy bun. "I've worked weddings before," Charlotte said, adjusting her blouse after she said, "Stressful events sometimes. Tell me, Hope, what would you do if your full supplier called 3 days before one of the biggest weddings of the season and said they couldn't deliver the flowers you've ordered 4 months ago?" Charlotte let several beats of silence go by as she considered the right way to answer. "Once I'd been committed to build a set for a movie that was being shot on Carter's Cove." She paused to see if Hope would allow a side story. She seemed receptive, so Charlotte continued. "It required a lot of different elements, and one of them was a roll of colored plastic that I'd ordered far in advance. It never came, and when I called to find out about it, I couldn't get an answer as to when it would arrive." She smiled and tucked her hair, wishing she hadn't cut it so much, an odd length. It wasn't long enough to brush over her shoulder and have it stay, nor short enough not to annoy her. She supposed that was what happened when one cut their own hair after midnight in a wild state of mind that demanded everything about them to change it before morning. "So I said about what you just did, that I needed it by a certain date as promised. Then I started making contingency plans because the bride doesn't really care where the flowers come from as long as they're there as promised, and that's our job, to deliver what's promised to who we promised it to." Hope watched her for a breath past comfortable. "What happened with the plastic?" "I found it at an office supply store, a 4-hour drive plus a ferry ride away from Carter's Cove. I sent my husband." She almost choked on the word, but managed to finish with "to get it." "Oh, you're married?" Hope's eyes flickered to Charlotte's left hand, where she was sure an invitation of her wedding ring would be visible. She'd never taken it off, even in the hottest weather, even while doing the Mrs. projects. "No," she said quickly, "not anymore." She offered a smile she hoped would be supportive and waited for the next question. Hope nodded and tapped the portfolio. "But you're okay working with happy couples." "I understand what that feels like," Charlotte said. "I'm happy for them even if it didn't work out for me." So maybe that was a lie, but probably just a tiny one. It didn't really matter what she believed about the institution of marriage. She needed a job, and she was well suited for this one. Hope finally opened the portfolio and pulled in a tight breath. "What is this?" That's a custom arch and altar I designed and built for my niece's wedding," she said, leaning forward and glad she thought to put this particular project first in the folder. "Sometimes it can get quite windy on the island, Carter's Cove, that is, and she was getting married on the beach. I seen arches and altars get destroyed by the wind, and I was determined hers would be rock solid." She pointed to the wide base of the arch. We used heavy wood at the bottom and filled it with quick-drying cement when it was in place on the beach. The upper part was latex, which makes it lighter, and we wove the flowers through clear floral netting as we stapled them to the arch, so not a single petal was lost. Charlotte had the pride in her voice, but she didn't try to tame it. If she couldn't be proud of the work she had accomplished in the past doing a job interview, when could she? Hope traced one finger down the sketch and flipped the page where a full-color photo of the arch nurture waited. Oh, they're beautiful. She glanced up. What do you do with them when the wedding is over? Since they're custom prices, it was part of the contract that they wouldn't be used again. Jen kept the arch and put it in her backyard, and the altar got redecorated for the next project. I think it was a bench for part of Santa's village that year. Custom packages, Hope remembered. I've looked through what you do at your title prep, Charlotte said, deciding to be brave and take a chance. It's all great, Hope. It really is. I can see why you're booked out for 8 months. You have a great clientele right now. But what if we could attract the kind of couples and families that want high-end but still sand beneath their feet? Interest shone in Hope's eyes. And you think you can customize the decor and the experience for each bride? Each bride willing to buy the custom package, she clarified. We'd meet, talk about needs and wants and colors and budget. Everything would be tailored for them. There are some women who like that. Just because Charlotte wasn't one of them didn't mean that there weren't people out there who would pay anything to have a type of flower no one else had ever had at their wedding. And if we can attract that kind of bride, Hope asked, then I'll make the calls with the flowers you need by Friday, Charlotte asked. I can build almost anything, and I'm an expert decor. I have a pastry certification as well. She stopped talking as she started to feel the desperation again, and she didn't want it to creep into her voice. Hope leafed through her portfolio, admiring several sketches and photos. Several minutes passed, and she finally got to the end where Charlotte had put in copies of her certifications and a list of her special skills. You really do have a lead carpenter certification. I bought the house on Cider Road, simply to fix it up, Charlotte said. I can't build a house from nothing, but I can make an old one look new. And I can build almost any piece of furniture you need. But my real specialty is in arches and altars, obviously. She indicated the portfolio, which had shown some interior remodels. She had mainly focused on the wedding work she done. Hope closed the portfolio and stood up, her skirt set today, done in a color halfway between navy and eggplant. Charlotte, you've got the job. Charlotte grinned. Shook Hope's hand and took the employment packet from Riley, promising to bring it back the next day and figure out when she could start. She exited it to bright sunlight and sand almost at her feet, and the scent of salt air in her nose. Excitement poured through her, and she released a laugh. She wanted to tell someone, celebrate that she'd gotten this job. The only person she could think of was the Card Dawson. So she did.